What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Yes, Manchester United 4, Sheffield United 2, and Manchester United get 3 points at Old Trafford. Wasn't totally straightforward, a bit nervy, a little bit at certain points, but we got there in the end, didn't we? Yes, goals from the likes of Bruno Fernandez, from Rasmus Hojlund as well, gets the job done for Manchester United. This is the full-time view where you can call in, where you can have your say. And also, I nearly forgot, a header from one Harry Maguire as well to kick things off. It's 2-2 for the Manchester United centre-back as well. But once again, this is the full-time view where you can call in, where you can have your say if indeed you are a member. If you're not a member, of course, you can watch. If you're not a member, you can become one by clicking the link in the video description. It's also the pinned comments in the live chat as well. Or you can just click join, and then you become a member. You get plenty of perks. You get your badges. You get your emojis. You get your exclusive members-only content, such as UV Raw, a behind-the-scenes look at the day-to-days going on at United View as well. A new episode just came out recently as well. And of course, you can call in and you can have your say too. If you do want to call in and have your say because you're a member, all you got to do is go over to the United View community tab, and there should be a link on there where members can call in and have their say too. I can see people filing in the chat. Be sure to click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. As Nessie says, smash a like since we finally got a W. I know, a rare one, a rare W as well. K-Flow says, Klopp tears give me joy. I know. It's shockingly, I mean, I don't even have the end. It feels rare, doesn't it, to be able to laugh at Liverpool after we've won a game? I can't even remember the last time that happened to Manchester United when we beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, right? I think that was probably just about it. So, yeah, I suppose that does feel nice, doesn't it? Anyway, let's get straight into the calls. Who are we going to go to first, though? Let's go to Challerboy Comics. Let's start off with positivity. It starts with me.
How's it going?
All good. What did you make of this evening's performance?
You know what? I'm very proud of the boys. I'm proud of every single one of them because I think this is the first time this season that we've put together a full 90 minutes of really good football. Now, sure, there were a couple scares, with the goals, but one of them was a freak goal. Onana, missed that pass. However, I'll get to a few people on the team, but Onana also has provided us with the ability to play the way we did, in what I call today the Ten Hag ball light. I think this is like shades of what a team is meant to look like, but not just against the bottom poor opposition, but opposition that also has similar skill sets to us in terms of individuals. If we upscale our players, if we improve the performance level, whether it's by transfers or by training, this is what, in your mind's eye, a Ten Hag team should look like. We had our press and distances perfect. Anthony was doing really well in covering the ball. There were times when Casemiro, we've pressed really well, and Sheffield has shown some good character to get out of the press. Doesn't mean we pressed badly. It just means we just didn't, make it work. And at that point, you need other players in the team to react to those situations. And I think it was in the 16th minute, I made a note. Casemiro stormed and really pressed really high to win the ball back and then continue the play. And Onana has been integral in us playing that way. We have to have a keeper that's able to sweep, or their starting position is quite high. So I can forgive him for the mistake. You shouldn't make that mistake. Let's just get that right. But if you look at the last 3 or 4 games, I know we haven't really talked about him too much because we haven't been playing well as a team, but his passing has been exquisite, the way he breaks the lines. And, it was just a joy to watch. And last but not least, in terms of individual performances, Bruno Fernandez was integral to everything today. And what I mean by that is that he was coaching players on the field, telling them where to be. What I saw today that I don't usually see from our team is active communication. Everyone was telling each other where to go, where to show, and everyone was willing to pass the ball to their other teammates and to play as a cohesive unit. And the shot that Garnacho missed would have been one of the best team goals we've scored, at United. So it was just a performance full of team spirit, energy, fight, and good quality football. So I'm very, very proud of everyone.
You mentioned Bruno. Obviously, he's probably going to get a lot of the plaudits this evening. Player of the match performance, certainly. He's an enigma, isn't he? Because, he gets criticism. He gets criticized for being petulant or wasteful or this or that. But he's a top goal scorer this season. He's got assists. I think he's got like 11 assists in all comps. Now it's like 15 goals in all comps or something like that. What do you make of him? Because he really divides opinion, and then he does something like today, and you go, "Wow, that's what a captain is meant to do, isn't it?"
Yeah, proper captain's performance. And to be honest, while I understand criticism of Bruno, I do. Personally, I think he's one of our best players, and we should definitely move forward with him. And as Ten Hag has mentioned, in a team that's built on high transition football, Bruno is a really, really special quality player who has the lung capacity, the drive, the stamina to play in a pressing team while still maintaining the technical qualities of a footballer. That being said, what I think Bruno has lacked at United is accountability. And what I mean by that is he needs competition, whereby if he loses his temperament, if he loses his head, there's someone who can step in and also play at that high level, right? It doesn't mean that Bruno is a bad player. So when you have Bruno, who is a volatile individual, combined with a situation whereby one cog in the machine, in the pressing machine, isn't doing their job, and then you add that to an individual who's scared to step up in the back line, and then you add a terrible passing ability to that squad, you can concede a lot of goals because all of these things are very fine balance. So with Bruno, I really, really think he's one of our best players, but he needs to. I can imagine that before this game, there was a direct sort of emphasis by Ten Hag on control and teamwork. Just felt that way. And I think if you give Bruno a level where you have to say everyone's going to do it, everyone's going to run, everyone's going to play in a team performance, don't give away the ball cheaply. Try things, but because when you try things, have the confidence to try things because you know a team is behind you that's going to recover the ball. But because you know they're fighting for you, don't be careless with it. And if he can maintain that balance, I think we should definitely value him. But he's not without criticism in terms of his performance. But for me, I like him a lot.
Ahmad as well. Talk to me about Ahmad because Anthony started today. I suppose not surprisingly. I think most people probably expected Anthony was going to start. But Ahmad comes on, gets involved in the second half. What did you make of his performance? And do you think he could finally get that elusive start at the weekend against Burnley?
So I think the whole team played really well, and Ahmad was part of that. I enjoyed the fact that he was not afraid to demand the ball. He was playing with other teammates, and even in situations where it was his turn to create an action, he was willing to try that, to try those things. But if you talk about the start, I don't think he may. If he starts, I'm happy. But I actually think Anthony played really well and didn't do anything to lose his spot, especially in the cohesion of our team. He was pressing so well. Like I was very impressed with him. And so he made the right decisions when Wan-Bissaka was overlapping. He didn't try too many shots. He played it to Wan-Bissaka, and we were getting a lot of performances. So it's almost frustrating when you see what we're capable of doing, albeit against Sheffield United. It's so frustrating why we don't stick to those principles and rules consistently through the whole season. And part of, I don't want to bring him into this because he wasn't in the game, but part of that sort of, cultural malaise, that exists within a team stems from our supposed best player who's not participating in the team press, who's not participating with the same hunger as the person next to him. And so that creates this sort of, weird situation where everyone's like, well, I'm going to just do my own thing. But when there's accountability, I think, there's value. So in terms of Ahmad coming in, yeah, I think it was good that Ten Hag gave him 30 minutes today. That was good. Well, yeah, that was exactly. That was a good minute chunk. So if we had to repeat that, next game, I think that's more than fair with the impact that Ahmad had and the overall team positive game that Anthony had.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it feels unbelievable actually talking after a victory, doesn't it? Can you believe it? Unbelievable. Big up Chalaboy Comics. Appreciate you as always. Let's go another call. Let's go to Pav. Pav, talk to me. What did you think of what you saw tonight?
Well, it's been a while since I've been on air, Owen, but I tell you what, I didn't celebrate a single one of them goals, and I didn't show emotion to any goals being conceded because I've checked out a long time ago. the only reason I come on here now is because every time we score goals or we win a game, it's a Ten Hag masterclass. But when we lose games or we concede goals, it's all on the players. This is why the people who sit here constantly back to Eric Ten Hag cannot be taken seriously. I can't wait for the guy to go. I already know the guy is going. You could tell by his facial expression, he knows he's going. For the fact that the way we've performed this whole season, this guy should get no plaudits at all. We're sitting here celebrating him getting to a second cup final, considering that we lost the first one last year, and we still celebrate the fact that he's got us into another final against the same team. Is beyond me. I don't know why we're celebrating it. Until he wins it, then yeah, we could talk about the achievement then. But as far as the season goes, it's been shambolic. Probably one of the worst seasons I've had to experience since post-Fergie. And we've had some bad seasons, and that's saying a lot when I'm saying that this has probably been one of the worst ones. And in my opinion, I don't care who we get. If it's Thomas Tuchel, De Zerbi, my preferable choice would be Emery or Inzaghi. I just don't want this guy here. Like,
I mean, I get the criticism, because I've been with the criticism over the last few weeks, right? And I definitely was after the weekend. But after a thing like today, you know, when you see your team win or whatever, and it's one of those games that if you're you know, negative on Eric Ten Hag, today's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to change your mind and go, oh, he's definitely the one. If you're pro Ten Hag, it's not going to do anything of like really enhancing their opinions, whatever. Isn't it just one of those ones where it's like, okay, cool, I'm happy we won today, we move on. It doesn't change anyone's opinions. Can we not be going at each other? You know what I mean? In terms of all that kind of stuff. Can we not just go, manager got his tactics right today, players played well, that's good, we move on?
I'll be honest, the only players that played well were Bruno and Maguire. The rest of them were pretty diabolical, to be fair. I don't know what this whole stuff on Amad Diallo is as well. I've said it many times before. It's comparing one bit of feces to another bit of feces. He's a dead winger. And I'll tell you now, in a couple of years' time, he'll be playing in the Championship. He ain't mounting to nothing. I don't know why we praise these sort of players. He ain't Man United quality.
How do we know? He hasn't even started a game for Man United this season.
There's probably a reason why he don't start for Man United, because he's not a Man United quality player. The minutes that he gets, we praise him off of the performances that he had for Sunderland last year. Like, the amount of praise he gets. Why is he getting praised when no one's actually seen him play? Why is it that we always say, give him minutes, let's see what he can do?
Well,
but the amount of praise he gets, it's beyond me.
It's looking at what we do have on the pitch and going, Rashford or Anthony, and going, well, surely he can't be worse than them. And if he does play, and he is, then you get your answer, don't you? I think that's what it is. I don't know if it's out of like pure, he's the savior or anything like that. I think it's pure out of, surely the alternative's got to be better than what we're seeing, because what we're seeing is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I said this on KG stream this morning. I would get rid of every single player who does not want to be here. It's not about who's good and who's bad. Let's get rid of all the players that don't want to be here. Then we'll see what we're left with. With Rashford, I would play this guy in the Premier League games, because I don't want him in that FA Cup final at all. I don't want him. He could sit on the bench. I don't want him starting. I want some of the our better quality players who are kind of performing to a decent level, considering how bad we are. I want them players in that FA Cup final. The league, for me, like, look, we've got Arsenal, Brighton, Palace are on form. Burnley, we should win. And I think we've got another team, I can't remember who.
Got Newcastle.
Oh, we've still got Newcastle. Yeah, so it's going to be hard to try and get this Europa League spot. But like you said earlier, we need it. To get a decent transfer budget, we need that Europa League spot. It is what it is. But I'd rather save some of our best players, keep them fit for that FA Cup final, because that's the only day that I'm going to show any emotion. The season for me was done a long time ago. And you know that for a fact, because I come on here from the first game of the season and said, if this guy doesn't change, he won't be here next season. And I'm going to be proved right as well. But yeah, I'm going to finish it on that.
But is it about being proved right, though? That's when we get into this weird territory, isn't it? Is it about being proved right or being proved wrong? Can we not, see our team to win today when we know they're shit and just be like, cool, we got a victory, we got a win. That's a change from the norm recently.
Yeah, I mean,
we got
the victory, but I can't be overly too happy about it considering how the whole season's gone. Like this, I'll be honest, we got catfished by this guy. I was one of the ones from when Ollie got sacked and wanted this guy in straight away. I was one of them ones, but he's come in and I've seen nothing in 2 years where the style of play. I hear all these people talking about if he does this, he gets his players. He's had all his players. He's owned 16 players in his era in 2 years, including the loans. Yeah, and I've seen nothing. So you can't this is what I mean. There's nothing for me to actually be overly happily about. But it is what it is. I just want the Premier League. I just want the Premier League to be over. I want to enjoy the FA Cup final. I'm going to go into that FA Cup final with the mentality that we can win it, and then hopefully LVG Part 2 get this guy gone. That is it.
We shall see. Big up, Pav. Appreciate calling in. Yeah, for me, like I said, I'm of the mindset. Like I said, I don't think I've said numerous times, I don't think Erik ten Hag is going to be in the dugout next season or anything like that. And this might actually be one of the few wins we have for the remainder of the season. But today doesn't really do anything in terms of your Erik ten Hag, if you're negative on him or if you're positive on him, it doesn't really do anything. For me, and I can't tell people how to support or anything like that. I would never do that. But I think if the day comes that I can't be happy that we've won, then it's like, oh, I don't know. Then I don't know if I'm going to watch anymore. You know what I mean? I think you can not be happy with the players and with the manager and the state of the club and cut and compartmentalize and be happy with the results still. You know what I mean? I think you can still do that. As we always say, multiple things can be true at the same time, can't they? You can be disappointed about the state of the club and the manager and the players, but you can be happy your team won today because that hasn't happened that often recently, But people have got all of their different opinions. Let's go to a different call. Let's go to Amanor. Amanor, your name today is Bruno Fernandez with a Z as well. What did you make of his performance?
Very pleased with his performance against the bottom of the league team, so we need to keep that perspective. But for once, he showed me that he was able to control his emotions. He was able to deliver when we needed as a team. So I've been critical of Bruno. I've actually said Bruno needs to leave on many streams because for us to move to the next level, he's not going to be the answer to that. But you got to give him respect when he does play. So for today, I want to give him a shout out on man of the match, in my opinion. Other people, or two more people, I want to give a shout out to. Special mention to Harry Maguire, who played well. It's not being shameless. I have criticised Harry Maguire historically. The way he plays, but
and you're allowed to. You're allowed to praise him now. You know what I mean? This is what's crazy, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can't, just because you've done something in the past doesn't mean you can't say played well tonight. He scored 2 and 2. He's done well, and he's not even fit.
Yeah, exactly. And he's showing up. When we're struggling as a team, he actually puts himself on the line going forward and tries to create attacks or not force play, but when he does ping shots from the defense up forward, so he does that. So, you got to give him respect, Harry Maguire. Another person I want to give a shout out to, who's not who wasn't on the football pitch, but who made me laugh was, let me get this right, Matt Osas.
Magic Matt. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I did say to Josh that he needs his own emoji.
I know he does, exactly. Some kind of magician. Maybe we do that. Maybe we do something like that.
Maybe do that. But I don't know what you thought about. Did you notice a difference in the style of play from Ten Hag today, especially with Rashford, wasn't it?
It was funny with that report that came up, but also I think you're right. I do think we kept the ball better. I think we passed the ball, nipped it around better. That's why it was quite a bit of a strange game, really, wasn't it? Because I mentioned this at halftime that it was 1-1, thanks in large to obviously the Onana mistake. But it's not as if we played terribly, I don't think. I thought we actually, we created chances. We scored 4 goals there. We could have had like 6, actually. So it wasn't as if we had a lot of the ball and we weren't probing, because we were. Garnacho could have had 2 in the first half. So I thought on the whole, we actually played all right today. Can we concede goals? Of course we can. We know that we can concede goals. But against for bottom of the table, which we should be beating, I thought we did okay. I thought we did all right by our recent standards, anyway.
No, I was impressed with the style of play. Not impressed, but like I was surprised. But I wonder whether he sort of realised that his style of play is under scrutiny because Mr. Wilcox is looking from the stand. He's on trial. So I do wonder whether it's actually he's thinking, right, I need to flex my style to these players. So I think I've seen that today. With the fact that, for example, he subbed off Anthony. I thought Anthony didn't have a bad game, but he wasn't ineffective. So Ahmad coming up did slightly make a difference. But for me, I think what pulled the team over the line was not necessarily the team performance, but certain individuals just stepping up. So Bruno Fernandez and Maguire in particular, scoring those goals. One thing I did want to say, and I've noticed this amongst for some of our members, the Ten Hag Defence League are now standing up and shouting just because we've won 4-2 against United.
No.
They really need to pipe down. They need to pipe down. Joe Blackman, I'm calling you out in particular. Those people, they need to pipe down really seriously because this is a bottom of a league team playing at home, which should be, irrespective of what season we're in, we should be able to beat a team like that. So that win does not mean, Ten Hag his job should be saved for next season. No, it is still on trial.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And that's kind of was my point to Pav, is that like I feel like if people have made their minds up that Erik ten Hag's not the guy, then tonight's going to do nothing for them. It's not, because no game is going to do anything for them. If you're really pro Erik ten Hag, it's not really the game to be like, see, what I mean? So this is, because it should be happening. If we do this, even against, so we got Palace on the 6th of May away from home. If we played like that at Selhurst Park, then you've got, I'll tell you what, I'll give you that. Dominate possession, 70% of the ball, win 4-2. You go, right, that's something to hold on to. As of right now, it's just get through the game. Like these two games, Burnley the same at the weekend, isn't it? Just win. Just get the points on board, see what happens. That's where we're at the moment. We just need a bit of momentum.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. Let me see whether he's got that, whether he can flex his style, recognize his team, the players are weak in certain areas. Let me see if he can flex his style and play to win against teams against Palace, Brighton, and Newcastle. I want to see whether I'm judging him. He's on trial in my eyes as well, and in yours as well, to be honest, to see what they do in the summer. But yeah, I'm like you, Owen. I am, still keeping one eye on the league, but for me, I'm now moving my eye towards Ineos to see, okay, after the FA Cup final, what do they do? What direction of travel do they take? And that is where my focus is now moving towards.
Yeah, and also when it comes to the managerial market as well, of course, Xavi's now staying with Barcelona, so that's one job that's kind of closed up. So suddenly, that pool of managers is staying the same size, but the jobs are shrinking down. So maybe Ineos might look at it going, actually, that pool's maybe a bit bigger than we thought it was going to be for people that are available.
But what Ineos have done, and this is quite strategic, and they have identified managers who they want and they're willing to pay. I know what's his name, Dan Ashworth one side and the fees about that, but in theory, once they've identified who they want, they will target them and acquire them. So for me personally, I've given a bit of thought. I'm not sure I mentioned this to you, Owen, but I like us to have a look at Unai Emery. Seriously, have a good look at Unai Emery.
Well, he just signed a new contract with Aston Villa this week, Cameron, so I think that one's off the table.
Oh, okay. Ignore what I just said.
Well, Amon's recruitment's a base. He's struggling on that. It's like Amon going for that membership earlier on. Why can I have a membership? Amon, you've got one. No. Yeah, he just signed. I think he signed to was it 2027? Something like that. Yeah. That one's probably not gonna go the way. How many likes are we currently on at the moment? As people are saying, Amon Snore. He slept on that one. Slept on that one. Recurring theme as well. And to be fair, I think Unai Emery is at the perfect place at Aston Villa. He does well, not to call Villa a small team, but he does well at that kind of profile. The Sevilla, Villarreal, Aston Villa. Red Devils no says, Amon's still asking for Unai and a gifted membership. Yeah. Well, look, there you go. They say it's all right. His intentions were good, but Emery looks happy at Villa. Yeah. Well, He tries. How many likes are we currently at the moment? We're at 161 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. You know what to do. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, what did you make of what you saw this evening?
To be honest, it was an okay performance. Let's put it that way. But before I dissect the performance, I just wanted to ask, was your caller Pav? He was rancing and bancing a little bit today, if you get my drift. But I don't agree with a lot of the points that he said. But talking about the game, look, I think you put it very perfectly. The fact is that if you're Erik ten Hag in or out in a very aggressive manner, this result does nothing to change your mind. But as someone like you, who's kind of on the fence about this, I feel like it was a decent performance. I wouldn't say it was great. I think the coach coached the team well, which has been very rare this season. But look, I think it should have been a 6-1. We should have scored 2 more goals based on the opportunities we created. And if it went from Mr. Sweeper keeper pass, we shouldn't have conceded that goal. So it was a dominant performance. I think the passing triangles were good. Kept hold of the ball. I'm going to talk about Bruno a little bit later on, but it's against Sheffield. I mean, obviously, teams like Chelsea have struggled against them, but it's not really a barometer, is it?
No, and that's where I'm kind of at on it. Like I said, I don't think it changed anyone's opinion, but I'm just happy for a win. I'm happy for a win. I'm happy for the captain to play well. I'm happy that Hojlund scored. And given the injuries, I'm happy we just avoided embarrassment. That's the territory we're in, isn't it? It could have been embarrassing for us, and we avoided embarrassment. What did you make of Bruno Fernandez today? Was it a captain's performance from Bruno?
Look, I think I've said it to you before, right, Owen? Like, to be honest, I feel like Bruno mostly does give a captain's contribution. Now, the word contribution is very different from the word performance. What I'm trying to say is that he does put himself about. His work rate, I don't think anybody can knock that. That is exceptional. He does try to lead the team in terms of pressing structures. If you've noticed him throughout the game, he's always instructing other people on when to press and when to lie back, especially the front three or the front four, whatever game we're in. But what this cemented for me in terms of Bruno is, I remember speaking to you after the Coventry game, and I told you that I feel like Bruno has regressed from the sort of cultured midfielder role that he was getting last season with Eriksen involved. A bit of an Odegaard-esque, if you will. I'm not saying Odegaard's the barometer. What I'm trying to say is, today Bruno showed that he can be an asset in a possession-based team. You know what I mean? And I don't think it has a lot to do with Eriksen, but the fact of the matter is, if you have a deep-lying playmaker behind you, then that gives you the license as a number 10 or a Mezzala to influence the game and keep the passes short, not take Hollywood passes at every possible opportunity. And Bruno is a very favorite player of mine because he takes those risks. But if we're trying to become a possession-based team, he needs to tone that down. I think he did that today. Obviously, it was against a team who plays 5 at the back and parks the bus literally and relies on counterattacks. But if he continues to do this, even against a team like Burnley, where, to be fair, I think we'll have more of a transition game than we had today, because Burnley, as we know, like to play under Vincent Kompany. But what it showed for me today is that he does have the capacity to do that. And that's very important. Obviously, he had a great couple of years when he first came in. That regressed a little bit. But if you put a proper midfield of two-man midfield behind Bruno, if he has a proper pivot behind him, I think he can give more of the performances that we saw today. And it's a positive sign.
He made an assist for Rasmus Hojlund, who gets his first goal since his spell earlier on in the season when he was getting 7 goals in 6 games. Do you think it can be the beginning of another run for him, or was he still looking quite isolated today, do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. I think he did look quite isolated in periods. But you see, what happens is when you're playing a team who is parking the bus, the forward, especially if it's somebody like Rasmus who likes to press, who likes to sort of get in a bit behind the front line and then hold up the ball, I think it sort of plays to his strengths. The service is still not there. That assist from Bruno, and I was telling it to my mates, that is exactly what is desired for the number 10 to supply the number 9. That's one of the simplest things you can hope for on a football pitch, isn't it? However, that's not happened enough. Now, Rasmus is a young kid. He's still learning his craft. He's very good in a couple of things. He's not good in a couple of things, and that's expected from a young lad. You see that in Kobe. You see that in Alejandro. But what I liked about that link-up was that wasn't the first instance where Bruno played a pass to Rasmus. He tried to do that throughout the whole game today. For whatever reason, it wasn't working out. Now, I'm trying to contextualize this based on what we heard, a couple of days back, which you were mentioning in your shows, that there was a tiff between Bruno and Rasmus, a couple of months back. I think that has repaired itself, to be honest. But that tiff would result because we don't have a system which constantly supplies the forward. We don't have a Darwin Nunez or a Jackson who's going to get chances and still miss. I think if Rasmus got those chances that those forwards did have, he would score more goals. That has to be worked upon intensely. Now, whether Erik ten Hag is the manager or not, whoever comes in the summer, in the preseason, he needs to understand that the link between Bruno and Rasmus is extremely, extremely to the power 100 vital for how we progress in the next couple of years. If that link is good, then the team plays better, then we score more goals. And also he needs more selfless wingers, if you will. And I think only one out of the 4 wingers we currently have is actually selfless. And that says a lot.
And one of the wingers that didn't play tonight, of course, was Rashford. What do you think of, obviously, the discourse that's going to come out of this game? Because obviously people are going to say, wow, actually, we looked maybe a bit better without him. We were moving the ball around a bit better. But then some people are going to say, wow, it was Sheffield United. So how can you really take anything from that? Do you think we look better without him this evening? Or is it going to be a bit too much made of that?
You see, this is a nuanced answer, in my opinion. Now, I don't personally like the way Rashford is played. If it were up to me, he would be gone in the summer, right? I think he is, again, he's a player who's been hyped up too much. He's not that personality of an Mbappe or a Falcao or a Vinicius. He's not that. He's nowhere close to that level. And when he plays, he's too selfish. Again, that's what I'm trying to talk about. That selfish wingers will not get Manchester United forward. Never it will. However, as I said, there are nuances to this. Is that I think this season his role has been a bit different from what it was last season. I think this season, probably the manager instructed him to take on players more than he was last season. Now, that is a detriment because Marcus Rashford isn't that sort of player. He's a chaotic player. He relies on moments. We can't be reliant on people like him if we want to progress. Today, Anthony, I think he was okay. I know people are going to get on his back, but I thought he was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible either. But when Ahmad came in, and this is where I'd like to go against what Pal was talking about. You see, what Ahmad brings to you is that he's a winger who takes care of the ball. If there is even one winger on either side that takes care of the ball, then chances are that your number 10 and your number 9 will have more opportunities. Now, I'm assuming that Rashford is probably going to be quote unquote fit before the Burnley game. If Erik ten Hag starts Rashford, I'm going to lose even a modicum of the faith I have in him. And I do still have faith in him. But if he starts Rashford against Burnley, that's not good. That is not supposed to happen. Ahmad needs to start on the right. Garnacho needs to start on the left. Because a selfish winger just decimates any modicum of control we might have in a game. You see, when Garnacho and Dalot, I loved that link up because they're both inverted, right? Dalot was inverting onto the midfield a little bit. Garnacho was actually the one that Maguire passed to quite a lot. But that was sort of a la City, in a way where the left winger is the one who goes to receive that ball and the left back is inverted. That helps us. That makes us a better team. That gives us solidity down that left flank. And if he changes that and plays Wan-Bissaka again on the left, it's a lost cause. So ideally, I wouldn't want Rashford to start. I think we're a better team without him, but he does give you moments. He does have that little bit of quality once in a while. But as I said, I don't think that's sustainable. So if it were up to me, I think if it were up to a lot of fans, he will leave the summer.
We shall see. Big up, Sean. Appreciate you calling in. Where do we go to next? Wow, he got told to pipe down earlier on. This was from Amanor. He said he needs to pipe down, so I guess he's here to defend himself. Joe Blackman, what do you have to say?
Amanor telling me to pipe down. Hey, go back to sleep, Amanor, first of all. Yeah. Secondly, THDO. THDL in the chat, please. If you're THDL, let it be known in the chat, please. Yeah. Also, Owen, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm happy we won. I'm happy to do one of these shows after we won because it feels like I haven't done one of these shows after a win in the longest time. So I'm just happy that we can actually be talking about a win. I had hoped that maybe it would be like a less divisive show because we'd won. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But hey, here we are. How are you?
I'm doing really good, actually. I've never seen
Good.
so much support for the THDL, and I don't know. You know what? I don't know why it took a match like Sheffield United to turn some heads. If I'm being honest, if you was
that's the question. Did it turn heads?
Well, there's been a couple of people in the chat, Owen. A couple of people that have turned their heads.
So when you say turn heads, you maybe meant sort of singular one or two.
Yeah, a couple of heads. A couple of heads. You know what? No, Owen, look, you've been doing 2 streams in a row, right? I know you've seen the THDLs in the chat, yeah? It's been strong. It's been strong. Let's just be real. It's been strong, yeah? Now, all I'm saying is this. It's not like I actually want a divisive Man United fan base. I really don't. Yeah. Honest to God, truth is, I just think that the fence doesn't make sense. And you do make a stronger argument, Owen, because you're almost the fence. Yeah, because you kind of feel like there's no reason to be either way or. The manager and the players are at fault, so they all need to go. Correct?
Yes, that's essentially my argument. My biggest frustration, Joe Blackburn, is just a lack of accountability. I'm just not on the excuses on either side. And I was really happy to hear Ten Hag say that as well in his press conference when he said, I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at the players. We've been unlucky with deflections and penalties. And also getting to the finals achievement. I went, that's the perfect answer for me because that is accountability. For me, that's all I'm looking for.
100%. And I don't know if you get to see my comments as much, obviously, because there's a lot of talk on this channel, right? But I do always say there is a lot of unaccountability in the THDL amongst our fan base, right? But I do say this all the time, yeah? We are not, the manager is not above reproach, yeah? And it's not THDL for life, it's THDL for now, right? I've always said, and I said it very plainly, on one of the last times I was on here, that if we was losing to it, we can't let the standard slip, is what I was saying, right? And even if I am THDL, it doesn't mean I'm THDL for blind reasons, right? We all must see this pragmatically. We had a win today, and yes, this is what I'm always saying to you guys, yeah? Anybody that's not THDL, anybody that's not backing the manager, he's always setting us up to win. Yeah, that's one thing that I will have to say. It might not be to your flavor, it might not be to your liking, but I will have to say this: the manager never sets us up to lose. He might be angry, you might see some things that you not like, but there was plenty of times when other managers before him set our teams up and we don't like it, but we still came out with a win. Yeah, it's not about how we set up; it's how we come out at the end of the match. Now, that being said, we've had some ugly performances over the season. Yeah. But looking forward, so many ugly performances, Owen, yeah? All I'm trying to do is, say this. I've said this in the chat so many times. I don't know if you've seen it, Owen, yeah? But I've been like at least 5 players out before the manager.
I have seen you say that, yes.
At least, yeah? Minimum 5 players out before the manager. And for me,
but which...
Okay, I've got the list. I've also put the list in the chat plenty of times.
5 are gonna go. 5 are gonna go this summer, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's not gonna put it this way. It's not gonna be the 5 that I want. Right. Let's just say that, yeah, because top of the list is Mr. Moneyman, Marcus Rashford. Yeah, top of the list. He's actually at the top of the list. Yeah, and funny enough, yeah, someone else is on my list. It was Maguire, but I'd rather keep Maguire than Rashford. Yeah, that's been said recently too by someone else, and I actually backed that comment. Yeah, but my list was Rashford, Maguire, McTominay. What was the other 2? Casemiro and someone else. I can't remember the last one.
It was a very memorable 5.
Yeah, sorry. You know what? To be honest, yeah, there's so many
4
that need to
players.
go.
Okay, sell on 4.
To be honest, look, I want Onana to go. Yeah, I could easily sell Lindelof. Oh, it was Luke Shaw. Oh, that's what it was. Luke Shaw, 100% Luke Shaw.
Right.
My 5th player was Luke Shaw, right? But all those players that I just said, they can all go. I want more players to go, if I'm being honest. But as it's being said right now, those 5 players, if they could go first before Ten Hag, then I would have no qualms. I just want to see how that experiment would look without those guys moving forward. Yeah. And if we could replace those players with some quality players from Ineos, then honestly, I think we could do great things with Ten Hag. And this is why I back the manager. We must see a change in the way that we look at things, guys. That's what I'm saying.
We kind of saw a little bit of the of what that would look like without Rashford this evening, didn't we? And some people say that they like what they saw without him.
Did you like what you saw?
I thought that I was very much definitely a refreshing to not see run, stop, pass the ball backwards, or kick it out for touch every 5 seconds. That was very refreshing. I've said that I prefer Garnacho on the left-hand side to Rashford because as much as Garnacho was frustrating tonight because he was missing chances, I'm happy for him to actually be in that position. I think Rashford is so far off it, he wouldn't even be in that position had he played tonight. He wouldn't get into that areas that Garnacho has. And I've mentioned multiple times, I think Rashford's at the stage now where he needs to leave because it's best for United, but also it's best for him. And I think Flex described it really well on the Flex and KG show yesterday when he said, I think at this point, Rashford, because of other mitigating factors, has been pushed into this sort of limelight or up onto this sort of level that maybe all of his outside stuff matches, but his actual ability doesn't. So there's always this mismatch. There's always this mismatch.
He's got a celebrity status now.
His ability. Exactly.
He's got a celebrity status now. You know, outside of football, he has a name. Do you know what I mean? He's not just Marcus Rashford. He's Marcus Rashford, MBE. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, he has a voice outside of football, and that I think is where there might be distractions there. There might not be. It might be personal stuff. It might be whatever. But in that case, you know, if that's where your head's at, that's where your head's at. But Owen, just before I go, I want to ask you one quick question here because I've always heard you say about where you're sitting on the fence kind of thing with the Marcus Rashford thing. I mean, sorry, with the Erik ten Hag thing. And I just wanted to ask you this, yeah. Would you rather see the players leave before the manager or the managers leave before you? Don't you think we need to change the rhetoric around Man United, around the player power, even if it means to stick with Ten Hag for one more season?
But this is where I think it's more nuanced than that. This is my point with that. I don't think it's binary. I don't think it's like, if Ten Hag leaves, then all the players are going to stay. That's why I asked you early on when I said which players specifically, because when people broadly say players have got to go, you go, well, who? Like, why? Why has it got?
Yeah, I've got a specific 5. If I'm being honest,
because then are we saying like until basically Marcus Rashford goes, then we can judge Erik ten Hag, or until Bruno Fernandez goes, then we can judge Erik ten Hag. You know what I mean? Like, I totally agree. I think player power is out of control, but I also, this way gets back to my point about accountability is two things can be true at the same time. Player power can be out of control, players can be down in tools, and players aren't good enough and players need to go. But at the same time, as the Manchester United manager, you also have to be held accountable for results, particularly when you pick the team. And this idea that, you know, if we, for instance, today we won, so Ten Hag's a genius. But when we were losing in the game, or when we were drawing the game, these players.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. No. Whoa.
Does it have to be?
It wasn't just that, though. It wasn't. How many people said it was Ten Hag? In the chat, it was so many people saying Ten Hag out at that point as well, Owen. Yeah.
But that's because you would go, right, if you lost the game at this point, if he lost tonight, this is my point too. If we lost against bottom of the table Sheffield United, then as the Man United manager, whether you think it's his fault or not, whether it is individual errors, it's not a one-off, and you have to be held accountable for that. The players 100%. Will go, but the manager, this is my thing. The manager can't get a blind pass because football doesn't work like that. It just.
Do you know what, Owen? I'll tell you something. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to tell you something. Yeah, we're gonna have to, next time I see you in person, we're gonna have like an hour-long conversation. But I know you need to get other people on. Yeah, but we're gonna talk. Me and you are gonna talk. But look, big up everybody, yeah, and we'll talk going.
Yes, we shall. Big up Joe Blackburn. Appreciate you calling in as always. But then this is what's funny with this, because I mentioned accountability. I'll go, the players have to go, etc., etc., etc. And I'll go, but as a football manager, if he'd lost tonight, you don't think that there would be people calling for his head? That's how football works. And I go, then you'll get this. Owen is straight up Ten Hag out. Can't say it though, as he has to remain a neutral host. It's not that at all. It's not. It is how football works. And if we live in the world where everything's binary, isn't it? You can't have two things be true at the same time. You're either Ten Hag in, you're either Ten Hag out, you're either on the fence, you're this, you're that, you're whatever. As a football manager, you get judged on results. That is how it works. It is. It's just, you know what it is? It's actually making me having a bit of a complex, because I'll sometimes finish a show and I'll be like, I'm clearly not getting my point across. Maybe I think I'm being clear, but I'm not. Clearly I'm not, because people can't understand what I'm saying, maybe. And then you do develop that thing of, you'll say that and they'll go, so you're Ten Hag out then? You go, oh. And then you just go, no, because people want to hear what they want to hear. That's it. That people want to hear what they want to hear. And if people, and this is also the thing, this is also part of this conversation too, is that if you're like Joe Blackman there, Biggie, behind the manager, supports the manager, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'll say, like, I don't totally agree on sort of like the blind, you know, like I don't agree on that, because I don't think it's that binary, but he's not wrong. It's his opinion or anything like that. It's not wrong. And because you don't maybe sit in either, I'm in this camp or I'm on that camp, I mean, you're on the fence. That means you're being a politician. This is one. You're paid not to say anything mean about the manager. Come on, guys. What are we doing here? It's just, again, I think people now are just like, they want to hear what they want to hear. They want you to be on their team as well. You know, are you with me? Are you with back the manager? Are you with against the manager? He's rubbish. Or, why? Why? It's a results business. That's what football always has and will be. It doesn't change for any manager or for any group of players. Players will be leaving if managers doesn't get results. If the season finished now and he got sixth and he managed to win the FA Cup, I'd say he might have a pretty good chance of keeping his job, because he'd be in Europe. He'd have some things going for him. You go, actually, maybe he's got something there. If we lose to Burnley at the weekend, pressure's back on. That's how it works. Like it is. That's how football works. That's how life works as well. But there you go, guys. Anyway, big up for people tuning in. Big up for people tuning into the match view as well. Big up to the full-time view. I think fan views are out at the moment, or they should be on their way out anyway. So big up to everyone that's tuning in. Joe Blackman says one more thing. Go on.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Just quickly, Owen.
Yes.
Look, you know what? Your speech just then, yeah, it really inspired me to ask you this, yeah?
Go on.
Do you believe the manager can do well next season? Just do you believe? That's all I ask.
Do I believe he could do well next season?
Yeah. Because I think ultimately what it comes down to, right, I think where the division is, right, is some people believe that the manager can do well given the right tools. Some people think it's over already from what they've seen this season. Because, you know, last season they actually saw something good. And this is, I think, where the division comes in, where so many people believed in him last season and now so many people don't this season. So the question is being asked, why did you believe so much last season and you don't this season? And I know it's a results-based game, like you said, yeah? But the thing is, there's so much mitigating factors that it's like, if you believe you can, it's like you believe. If you don't, you don't. And I think that that's in where lies the division.
But again, then this is when it gets into a personal point of view, because I just in life don't think like that. I never think like, oh, this can happen. My way of thinking, and this is about everything. This is just me, not even about football. I think, well, this could happen or that could happen. And actually this would depend on this. That's just the way I break stuff down. So you say, could he do well next season? My response to that would be, Well, he could, but depends on the summer. Depends if he's willing to change, because there's aspects of his tactics that I think fundamentally can't work in the Premier League and English football. Do I think he can change? Well, if the people above him say you've got to change, maybe he'll go, actually, you know what? I will change. Maybe he'll be stubborn.
Okay.
Maybe like we've seen this summer, like we've seen the past couple of summers rather. If he doesn't get the exact players that he wants, then we already built in a bit of a fail-safe for him not to do well, because we go, well, he wanted Frankie de Jong, but he got Casemiro. What if that happens again this season? Like, again, that's just how I break things down.
Okay, this is the thing. I'm smiling right now as I'm saying this to you, because like that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like, do you believe though, Owen? That's the thing. There's one thing to say that I pragmatically break things down, but in your heart of hearts, do you believe he can? And that's the thing.
I don't know. That would be my legitimate answer.
And anyway, like I said, 1 hour long conversation when I see you. We'll see. We'll talk soon.
But again, that is where I think it gets into a thing. That is legitimately, I am being 100% transparent with you. That's how I look at things in life. Unless it's me personally, if someone said to me, Owen, can you go run a marathon tomorrow? I can say no. I could say no, because I know I can't do that. I don't know if Erik ten Hag can change. I don't know him. I've seen so far this season, he hasn't changed throughout the entirety of the season, which leads me to think that he can't as well. But there's a lot of mitigating factors as well. That's the way that I look at it too. And I'm also, I like to think I'm not being naive enough to think that it's almost irrespective of what I believe as well, isn't it? It's almost irrespective of what I believe, because I think Ineos have already made their mind up with that kind of decision too, you know? So it's not, belief doesn't really factor into it, does it? Really, as well? Because I'm not the one whose belief matters in that. It's, again, I think that's how people break it down. GJE says, Owen, I think it's called sitting on the fence. Surely you have a stance on what you believe should happen. It goes back to belief. It's okay if you don't want to share it. It's not as if I don't want to share it. I don't know. I remember saying this on the Trinity. When did I say this? It might have been like a month ago at this point. Or was it 2 weeks ago? It was a while ago. And I said, I don't know how to feel. And I think that's a belief too. You're allowed to go, I don't know. You feel conflicted. That's what conflict is as well. You know, you can say, you know, I don't know. How do you, when someone says with anything, how do you feel about that TV show? Did you like it or did you not like it? I don't know. I don't know how I felt about that. There's part of it, things I liked. There's part of things I didn't like as well. I'm not sure. Give me more information. That's always what I'm looking for. Now, if you're looking for me to, but I don't, but that to me, that's not sitting on the fence. And this is when we get back into, in your head, you want me to say something. You either want me to say, yes, so I join your team, or you want me to say no, so I'm on the opposition to you, and then you'll feel better. Like that, to me, that is just bizarre. I don't get the need to be like, you've got to be in one camp or the other. You have to. Otherwise, if you're not, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like that's just so odd. To me, that is so strange, and I can't wrap my head around that. Again, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. I don't have all the answers to that, you know. But I don't know if that's and also that thing of like, oh, you're on the fence. It's like that means you're dodging it. I don't mean that's dodging it. It's so right to say you don't know. Like that's all right to say you don't know things. It's either you know or you don't know. What do you believe? That's just I don't know. You have to. As Red Devil says, you have to, otherwise you're a politician. I don't get that. For me, I don't. Again, maybe it's a personal thing. For me, I don't really live my life. And I know this is a contradictory sentence to say I don't, but very rarely do I sort of go with absolutes as well. I just, it's like, I don't like writing people off, but I don't like fully having complete faith in them as well, blindly that they can do things. I need more information on it as well. That's the thing I don't understand about this. Maybe you're right. Maybe that means I'm completely on the fence. Maybe that's what it's about. But that's just not how I view things in general. K-Flow says, if it was up to me, I'd give him one more season. Given that his contract runs out next season, I will do that, especially where we are financially. Maybe that's what Ineos might do. Ineos might do that and say, because of the lack of alternatives, we might just wait and see. Joe Blackman says, have you ever said a manager should leave? The time that I've been doing this, I'm not sure. Maybe you might be able to find me. I don't know. I don't know if I ever said Ollie out, because again, I didn't understand this whole like out. You're out. You've got to be out. You Ollie out or you Ollie in. It was like it before, isn't it? We're obsessed. You Ollie out or you Ollie in. It was clearly he was time for him to go. The job was too big for him. He shouldn't have been made manager in the first place. But again, if I say the phrase, does a bell go off and do people happy? Do I get some kind of membership to your team? It's like, I don't get it. I just don't understand. Riri's been a member for 22 months, says that only makes you normal, Owen. I don't know if it makes it normal, because clearly a lot of people have the absolute of he's definitely the right guy or he's not the right guy. And it's like, okay, cool. It's like, I just don't understand it. And even put it this way, maybe the best way for me to describe it is it's okay to say you don't know or you're conflicted on feelings without being straight up. So you're on the fence then. So that means you're on the fence. Like there's a negative connotation with that. I don't get that. That's to me is very odd. There you go, guys, though. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We'll be back with more content in the future. I'm out of here. Peace.